Hey guys, this is Caspi with Tape, and today you join me for episode 4 of Kerbal Wars, and we're pretty much picking up where we left off at the end of the battle for Hermes Station, which is still called Hermes Carrier, because again, it is technically a carrier, but it's become a station. But yeah, the fighters on the enemy side have run out of ammo and are all wounded and things, so I'm just going to use my remaining ammo, or at least some of it, just to deal with this carriage. So it can't be used anymore, because the entire objective was this mission was to, well, destroy the carrier, make sure they didn't have a foothold around the moon, because, well, as resources have been added, it may be a useful base of operations. Yeah, I am running in 1.0, which does mean those solar panels can no longer be retracted, so the carrier door may be used to forcibly remove them. They will retract, they just won't still be on the spacecraft. But anyway, moving on to getting closer to the carrier, because obviously drifting through space is a touch boring, but there is a bit of that in this episode, just because, oh no, this isn't the carrier I'm destroying, this is a carrier that needs to move away, because, well, because during the battle last time, Odin drifted into physics range of Hermes, which was really cool when I was, like, moving in on Hermes and looked up and saw Odin. It was an epic scene that I lost the footage for. Sorry. Yeah, I'm probably going to stop using Bandicam for KSP, because although it's a way better recording solution, it's pretty much the worst when the game crashes, which it is doing a lot right now. KSP is crashing a ridiculous amount. Even on this, where I have no mods installed, yeah, there are no mods on this, but it's still crashing way more than my .90 fully modded stuff, which is a little annoying. I thought it would be more optimized. But anyway, forgetting about how annoying the game is and how they took away my retracting solar panels. Although there are some retracting solar panels, but they're the heavier versions. So I'm going to have to make some Scorpion Mark IIs. But anyway, we are now in range of Hermes. We are right up close to it, which was probably a mistake. I'm a little close. I'm thinking my missiles probably won't accelerate enough to cause any real damage to the carrier. But we are behind it. We can see the service module, and this is the old version of these carriers, so it does not have the protective shroud that Odin does, so I do have direct access to all of the workings of the carrier. So let's access it with a missile. So yeah, let's just get into position and just kind of position myself. I'm probably going to use the cockpit. I love using the cockpit to just kind of really line myself up, because you can really see the nav ball quite well. And I will do that in a second once I have, well, shut down my engine and prepared to fire. Or will I? I don't recall. Oh, yeah. And you can see, although it does look a little blurry, maybe my textures are down or something. I haven't really checked. But yeah, it's a nice way to line up. It works quite well as a crosshair. It's nicer when you have a window so you can really see what you're pointing at. But I'm using these pods because they're light. And pretty hardy. But anyway, let's fire up the first missile and let it go. The camera shake kind of weird there, but it's still pretty awesome. And it's looking actually pretty good. It might come in above. Has it missed? No, it looks like it's on. There's a huge explosion. Now, I don't know if you saw, but in that explosion there was some kind of debris leaving. It looks like we may have actually really damaged it. Well, we've got another missile to fire away. That was pretty good. That was a pretty hefty explosion. It looked like there was some debris in that explosion, so hopefully we'll have caused some serious damage. But yeah, let's fire up our second missile. Let's put an end to this carrier. The more weird camera shaking, and I'm assuming that's going to be on target since the last one was, and it's looking good. It's in, and that's a hit. Oh, and that's the classic, that's wing being destroyed. That's what that texture was, so we must have taken out some armor. I can't see that well from here, because we're, well, a quarter of a kilometer away. But yeah, if we look there, some of the debris is two engines, and bits of armor, docking ports, the missile going nuts, and we switch to the carrier, and we can see it has been decimated. It's lost two engines, it's lost a bunch of armor, the hangar's hardly even a hangar anymore, and the little fighter, not there. We've destroyed the fighter. Those were crazy. These missiles are like light torpedoes, but I guess if you get them in the right place, they can really tear stuff apart. And that is just decimated. Oh, I did not expect it to do that well. I'm actually still surprised now. But yeah, I'm assuming that blade is going to have to run away. But anyway, back to our carrier that protects its behind. With the big old metal shroud, which does look rather beautiful. Yeah, anyway, it's time to slow ourselves down a touch with this carrier so that we can get our Scorpion back and docked, and probably have to hack off some of those solar panels. But yeah, you can see the back looks a bit different now because they've upgraded a few of the things. I need to control from this probe core as well so that I'm pointing the right way. But yeah, you can see it does look a little weird because they've upgraded a few parts which have kind of screwed a few things up. But it still looks pretty good. Anyway, let's head back to Odin Carrier. This is mainly going to be a lot of regrouping and returning to Kerbal, but we're going to, you know, deal with the enemy a little more. We have some more missiles and some more fighters. Let's get rid of this, well, I guess shell casing is what I've been calling them, because well, it's not really a casing, but it holds the missile. Although, would it be a shell casing, given that they're not shells, so probably not. But it doesn't matter, I like calling them shell casings. I'm just going to keep doing that. But yeah, anyway, let's get back to the carrier. With our heads held high and our awesomeness prevalent, I guess, we did some... I didn't expect these fighters to be that effective, and you could see against some of the heavier fighters, they didn't really do anything, but I guess if you hit a carrier in the right place, it's gonna pretty much pop. So maybe I need some heavier battle vehicles. I actually have plans for that, which I will probably talk about this episode. I have a lot of time of rendezvousing and things. We really need to regroup. But anyway, I'm not slowing down that much because I need to take these solar panels off because I cannot retract them because 1.0 has changed a few things. So let's drift in. There they go. Nicely disposed of. Retracted into space. I'm pretty sure those flew off because they kind of become completely physics-less, so they just kind of are stationary objects. That's why I think the explosions look quite weird now, because they kind of look like they're flying away from the spacecraft. I think that's because the explosions are static objects in the game, and because we're orbiting at about 500 meters a second, they fly away from us at 500 meters a second. That's why it looks so weird. Which is odd, because I think that debris was flung off quite speedily as well. But yeah, I'm still just beaming for my win against that carrier. But anyway, let's dock. But foolishly, I docked to the side, which is actually the missile, some of the missile holders, whereas I should be docking to the top. But it doesn't matter, I'm going to have to ditch all these fighters anyway, because they're not going to be able to have solar panels and return to Kerbal. Although I imagine they probably have enough Delta V to return to Kerbal, but still, they'll be useless without retractable solar panels. But anyway, we've got a few more things we have to do to regroup our fleet and things. So let's put our Kerbal in the safety of the hangar. And not the hangar, out of the hangar, basically. But yeah, this is our fighter that drifted off quite far into space. You can see the battlefield down there. Let's extend our solar panels for the final time. And get ourselves set up. Let's just get ourselves an encounter, I guess, with Odin. Foolishly, for some reason, when I planned this, I decided it would be best to burn prograde and slow down relative to our target, so I do quite a large burn, where I think what I probably should have done is a retrograde burn, but it just didn't strike me at the time. I do make a few mistakes this episode. Yeah, you can see I did a prograde burn, which isn't that bad considering I'm using ion engines, but still, I could have just burned retrograde and probably got there much more efficiently, but still, it doesn't matter. But anyway, bring back the third of the fighters, one that I think... I'm forgetting what this one was actually encountered in. I think it was used to... yeah, I think this was the one that fought the Rebel heavy fighter and the one of the Scorpions, probably. Oh, no, that was something else. I think that's the one I've already brought back, maybe. Oh, no. Well, this was one of them. Oh, no, this was definitely the one that was in the final engagement with the heavy fighter. It actually took a pretty hefty... strike from a missile, but it took it to the pod and not from too far away, so it was actually fine. It survived a pretty heavy missile strike, which was the kind of missiles that took out Hermes in the first place. So pretty hardy fighters because they're quite compact, so they're quite good at withstanding missile fire, which is really good, very useful. I'm starting to really like these fighters. But yeah, anyway, skipping ahead, let's go and fetch some missiles because. Well, our little Kerbal here doesn't want to be left out of the final engagement with the carrier. Although this isn't really an engagement, it's more just, it's cannon fodder, and I have a cannon. The blade's still attached to it. I'm not sure exactly where the Rebel heavy fighter is, but I assume, I assume they escape by the time we leave. I know the Rebel heavy fighter's missing. So yeah, I don't think we actually pulled them in so far, because, well, we haven't pulled them in so far. But anyway, moving out of the carrier, with this nice cinematic shot of drifting, you can see I've got two missiles on one arm. I'm going to rearrange them so I can fire them both off at once. as these are designed for. But yeah, that Rebel Heavy Fighter has eluded us again. It eluded us after its first engagement, its for our first contact with it, and then I think it's probably running around the Kerbal system, getting rather worried about its future. But anyway, deploying the solar panels again for the final time, but it does look rather serene as it drifts out from the carrier and past the moon. And it's quite a nice shot, actually. I do very much like some of these shots you get in Kerbal Space Program. I do often say how beautiful Kerbal is, and it really is, even though the textures aren't obviously the best. But, you know, it's beautiful in the way that, well, it's because of what it is, you know, space travel. It's always going to be beautiful. But anyway, enough of me being such a space romanticist. Let's forget how beautiful space is and go wreak havoc, and let's slip the dogs of war against our own carrier, technically. But it's disabled and we're gonna kill it. So yeah, let's just grab this missile. Now we're ready for, well, probably our final engagement of this battle, because I imagine this is probably going to be relatively effective, and we probably need to leave reasonably soon and start planning on how we're going to hunt down these rebels once and for all, because this mission was to take out the carrier, but we didn't. It would have been nice to bring in some rebels. But anyway, we're here, and yeah, let's fire away. I'm a little far away, and annoyingly because of that, I think these just glide over the top is what it looks like. Which was foolish of me. I should really improve my aim, and I am trying to, and you can see I do get some good shots in occasionally. But yeah, anyway, we do lose these missiles to space. I think they go up near the orbit of Duna, actually, so we're actually attacking Duna. Well, there is a chance that actually it just fired straight through the gap in the carrier, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, let's just let these fly off into space, and I can't switch from them until my fuel is drained, but it was nice to see them kind of diverge, and it's really weird when that happens. You expect them to just stay exactly pointing the right way, but, well, orbital mechanics is weird, and there's instabilities. But anyway, this fighter, well, it's more of a scout, the Blackbird, no, the Jackdaw. I always call stuff either Blackbird or Jackdaw. But no, the Jackdaw is returning to Odin to just get some more fuel. It can't be pulled back by Odin because, well, Odin's actually a little strapped for fuel right now because it's carrying a bunch of oxidizer, which it no longer needs for its nuclear engines. I'm gonna have to see if it does have enough fuel for what I want it for now. I think this might end up being just kind of one of Kerbin's defense fleet, because I think I might have to change how the fuel is stored and things, because I think the liquid fuel, the nuclear engines will require more liquid fuel now because they don't need oxidizer, but I'm not fully sure. I'll have to research that. But yeah, I'm just going to drain most of the oxidizer out of this at some point. But for now, it's good. I mean, it's got a lot of fuel, and the nuclear engines are pretty efficient, and for Kerbin maneuvers, it's absolutely fine, although it is a little slow. But with hopefully not carrying oxidizer, it'll be a little bit more, well, just a wee bit nippy. Just a fast little carrier. Well, it's certainly a pretty big carrier. But anyway, let's put some fuel in the Blackbird. Oh no, we're going to dock. We're going to put fuel in it later, but it will need fuel to get back to Kerbin, really. It's got a pretty intense slowdown maneuver. But anyway, we need to perform our maneuver with this Scorpion, which was, again, a pretty foolish maneuver. Just using the ion engine and a bit of RCS. We should probably leave these shell casings somewhere. My space is going to be filled with shell casings. However, I didn't turn off the engine, so they just come right back at me and re-dock because, well, because I am a fool. So let's just get rid of these and shut down the engine. Let's deploy this that way, and then I guess burn upwards to avoid the other casing. Just flick my solar panels around so it doesn't smash them. Although maybe smashing them would be a good idea, because I'm going to have to break them at some point anyway. But anyway, let's just do that on the carrier because we can. So yeah, anyway, I skipped ahead through all that because I didn't want to put too many orbital maneuvers in this episode. But yeah, let's just quickly fly in and smash off most of our solar panels, all but one. I did actually lose a little bit of footage of getting back to the carrier because the game crashed. With the other fighter, which went and missed those shots, and I could only hack off 4 of the solar panels, so it's still there with 2. I did break off the other one from this though in the end. But anyway, let's just dock, shall we? This docking did take me a while because I kind of fell around in the hangar, so I did cut through it. Because I grazed a solar panel. Oh, I did manage to hack off that other solar panel from that other fighter, so it only has one straggler now, which is good. But anyway, let's refuel Blackbird real quick so that we can send it back to Kerbin. I'm a little worried about its return to Kerbin, given the new atmospheric effects, because I have returned many a plane through the Deadly Reentry mod, but this is very different to everything I've used before, because the aerodynamic model, very different to Ferrum, the new reentry effects, very different to Deadly Reentry, and this plane wasn't actually designed for that. So, yeah, it might be difficult. I'm going to have to think about that with my SSDOs in the future. But anyway, let's just start heading back to Kerbin, you know, hopefully... Hopefully everything will be fine. I needed lots of fuel because I don't... Well, aerobraking maneuvers are always pretty dangerous. Especially now with Deadly Reentry. And when people do, like, just big aerobraking maneuvers, say, like, heading from Kerbin to a Joule or whatever, in real life you can't do that. Like, when you go to Duna, you have to have fuel to slow down, because... Not go to Duna. When you go to Mars in real life, you have to have fuel to slow down, because you can't just plunge it into the atmosphere. That's not how science works. But anyway, it does look like we've got a pretty good peri-ups there, just heading back to Kerbin, and then a pretty long burn with the carrier. I just showed you the middle of it because this was a nice looking shot, I guess, and it does take a while to do any burn with this, because it's a heavy carrier and it has to use nuclear engines, so you know it's it takes a while, but I enjoy doing these things. It gives you a lot of time to think. But anyway, skipping ahead to where I pulled myself down. I'm going to leave myself at, I think, about 200 kilometers above Kerbin with the carrier because, well, it's very easy to maneuver in higher orbits. So it's just a better place to put the carrier, I think. But anyway, let's skip ahead a little bit. You can see my Jackdaw once again beats it back to Kerbin because the Jackdaw did beat it to the moon, even though it left last. But it did leave first this time, so it does get there rather soon, but I did leave the moon an orbit later with Odin because, well, I needed time. So yeah, let's slow ourselves down. Just slow ourselves down with these Rapier engines. I do have a lot of fuel. I brought a little much, but I might need some on the way back, in the atmosphere, I guess. So it's always good to bring a little extra fuel. And they've actually changed the tail plane in this update, I didn't realize. So now I have a tail plane that works like a rudder because it turns, and then it also has a rudder on it. So it's a very weird tail plane. So let's get this back before it gets all crazy physicsed. So yeah, we'll need to slow down, and then I'll need to slow the carrier down before I bring this back, because it's going to get back probably before I can return this to the surface of Kerbin. Well, to return it safely. It's pretty easy to quickly return things. But again, I'm just showing you the main bit of the burn, because again, it took a long time, because this was a very hefty burn, because I've got to slow down from, I think this is about 1 kilometer per second of delta V required, which is a lot of my fuel, because I'm carrying just a bunch of oxidizer I don't need now, which is just dead weight, although I will keep a little bit in for refueling other spacecraft, because it is useful. But it depends what I'm doing, I guess. I'm thinking of putting a station up, and maybe some other battle cruisers, although I'm not going to start with big battle cruisers. I have some ideas with some more Corvette-type spacecrafts. Yeah, I've been really getting into naval naming of spaceships. But anyway, I decided just to leave it in a reasonably elliptical orbit, because I've kind of drifted past my peri-up, so I'll fix that later. But yeah, no, I have plans for lots of big ships, and there will be a lot of that in the next episode. I have a very nice Corvette plan, which, if you don't know, it's a type of naval ship. I'm no expert on naval ships, so it might not actually be a Corvette, but it's, in Kerbal terms, about the right weight. It's pretty armoured, it has some pretty decent weapons. It would be used for, I guess, defending other ships. But anyway, enough of talking about future things. It's time to try and return this. So yeah, let's just kind of drift through the upper atmosphere. Foolishly, I didn't slow down enough in the upper atmosphere. One of the things that's good is to use a space shuttle style maneuver where you do a lot of turning maneuvers in the upper atmosphere, which bleeds off a lot of velocity because you've got a larger surface on being pushed into the airstream. So that's a good way to slow down to stop yourself burning up so much. And you can see I've left some weird overlay on. I'm not sure if this is default or if it's just tied to my record button, so I accidentally turned it on. But you can see these are starting to be damaged or overheated or something. And that's bad, because that's going to move my center of lift rather far back. And cutting ahead, the problem worsens. So I have tried to do a turn maneuver, but it is way too late. I should have done this higher up in the atmosphere. And I also shouldn't have just stayed on my prograde. I should have glided more. I should have, although I wouldn't have had enough fuel to get back anyway. But still, this was probably doomed after I didn't do my turning maneuver, which you've just got to, when returning planes, you have to be just really good at maneuvering to slow down. But anyway, my plan is if those wings burn off, I pump all the fuel back so that it's so that I can try and stabilize the aircraft, but I'm not sure if I will be able to. But anyway, moving on some more, the fire increases and we actually start to get sounds of Mach effects, I guess, as we plunge into the atmosphere, and we lose our first wing, and I think we may have lost the second one. Oh no, it's still there, which is kind of annoying, that's unbalanced. But anyway, let's pump some fuel out of here. We need to just stabilize our aircraft right now, as well as much as possible, but I still don't think it will be actually stable. And we lose the other front wing, which is not great. I probably could have actually flown it back with unstable lift, but not with just straight up too much lift at the back. That's not good. But yeah, this was I think my first plane re-entry in 1.0, and I did it very foolishly. This is probably a lesson in how not to do it. You want to do lots of turning maneuvers, you want to slow down in the upper atmosphere, maybe even just use your engines to slow down, which I could have done. And probably try and glide a bit more. Don't just plunge into the atmosphere. You want to just be going really slow, basically. It's very hard to return a plane, and I got stuck on this kind of trajectory, so I couldn't really pull up, or it'd be doomed completely. But anyway, we do manage to get through without losing anything else. I think those wings just aren't particularly good. So you could return something like this, like in this sort of manner, but it would have to be just with hardier parts, really. So I'm thinking I might be able to do that, but it's a balancing act, and it will require a lot of testing, and you can see it's all very, very hot, and it's trying to cool down. But anyway, skipping ahead to my next large issue was the only way I could gain control, basically. The only way I could really pitch up was to burn my engines at full thrust, fully gimbling, just trying to pull out of this dive. And I'm about 1,000 kilometers downrange, I think. I'm not entirely sure of the exact figure, but I'm thinking I'm about 1,000 kilometers downrange, possibly more, possibly way more. I'm thinking, but I'm not entirely sure. Actually, 1,000 kilometers seems high. Maybe a few hundred kilometers. I'm not sure. I'm very far downrange of the KSC. I'm way off the island runway. I'm pretty. What is the radius? What is the circumference of Kerbin? Maybe 1,000 kilometers is a little bit much. I can't really think of the exact figure. But anyway, yeah, I'm just basically really far downrange, pretty much screwed. So yeah, I do try and turn around anyway, but there is an island relatively near to me. I'm thinking I could probably land this on the ocean, as I've done before, but not without those front wings. So I'm going to need to find some land, like, right freaking now. But anyway, let's try and... I did initially turn around and just try and see if I could get back to the KSC, but to have any kind of authority, I have to burn at really high thrust, as you can see right now. My fuel is just bleeding away, because these are not efficient engines. And I'm just trying to balance my spacecraft and aircraft and just try not to screw everything up. But then I decide, as my final ditch attempt not to die, to turn north and try and head for this island, which is up here, which does actually come into view. I'm not entirely sure where it is, but I think as I climb higher, it does come into view. I think you might be able to just about see it on the horizon right now. Well, I'll point it out when I see it. But yeah, I just thought maybe if I could hit that, I might be able to survive just a bit. But yeah, there we go. It's on the horizon, just in the right of the screen. I was thinking I might be able to make that, but at this point it's looking pretty dire. I think that's probably a few hundred kilometers away. And my fuel is pretty much out, and there's no way I can glide because it's just too unstable. So I decided to dive, and then I'm thinking I could probably use my engines to... Oh no, I didn't decide to dive. I locked off the fuel in that back tank. But anyway, I cut ahead because I ran out of fuel, basically. And now we're diving down. There's nothing I can do, and the plane is destroyed, and the Kerbal is killed. So yeah, the only Kerbal we lost in this engagement was because of my stupid re-entry. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this, though. I hope you're not too sad about my plane, and I hope you will come back for the next episode. So yeah, this has been Kerbal with Tape. I will see you next time.